With the Imperial anti-air guns out of the way near the beachhead, the clones performed constant airstrikes and bombardments. Thrawn had most units in the vicinity be moved to a more central location, for his counterplan would need several steps in order to work. A migration of hundreds of troopers was happening all over Kashyyyk. Ever since the Empire took hold of Kashyyyk, Chewbacca, who was part of the rebels, requested to be transferred to fight to take back his home planet. His request was finally answered as he and a small group of rebels would be left in charge of Cody, who was still in command while waiting for Plo Koon to arrive. On Kashyyyk, Chewbacca learned that not too far from the landing area, the Imperials had a small outpost where they held Wookie prisoners. The fog that morning could be used as cover when attacking the outpost. But Cody could not afford a large-scale assault as they were preparing for a march land inward. Cody decided that Gree would lead a small group of clones accompanied by some armor. Several members of the Wookiee resistance would join them as well. According to the sources, the camp and beachhead were not well defended, with the Wookiee turrets seeming the biggest threat. While Thrawn was preparing and focused on the center, he left the defense of the outer lines to a promising Imperial pilot and officer by the name of Juno Eclipse. Juno would use the pilots under her personal wing to hold the line as long as Thrawn needed to succeed. Back above Nebo, the Separatist fleet was finally introduced to the brutal strength of the Imperial fleet. The CIS ships were setting up defensive positions, but they could never follow the rapid pace in which other factions developed their fleet and ship technology. A single Star Destroyer was used as bait to lure the Separatists out of the defensive line of the planet and into the deadly range of more destroyers. The Star Destroyers were few, the CIS many. All kinds of ships came to the aid to prevent the Empire from invading. Small fighters were swarming around like flies, hoping to do some damage. The shields of the Star Destroyer were strong, and their weapons even stronger. It did not take long before the first Separatist ship fell. Silently hovering in one place, the Imperial ships continued their barrage on the defenders. The main ship was surrounded by smaller ones, and everyone focused fire on the same Star Destroyer. But even that was not enough to break through the shields, and ships crumbled left and right. Some fled in an act of desperation, while others still stayed and fought even though it seemed hopeless. More destroyers had arrived, and to this much firepower, even the Separatist main ship was no match. Its shields gave way as parts of the ship got destroyed, eventually leading up to the devastating destruction of the ship itself. The Imperial ships headed in closer to secure and proclaim their dominance over Naboo space. On Kashyyyk, Chewbacca's and Gree's assault had started. With cover from the armored vehicles, both clones and rebels headed up the small beach as the defending stormtroopers were soon overwhelmed. Chewbacca led his men to the left flank as Gree and the majority of the clones focused on the opposite side. Imperial artillery that was positioned high and out of sight slowed the advance as it bombarded both the vehicles and units on the beach. The clones and rebels took several casualties. Craters from the shellings were in turn used as cover as they managed to take out more Imperial troops and man turrets.
I'm taking too much fire!
After killing 2 more turret crews, only 1 remained besides the artillery unit. They focused all fire on the turret, and for a while the front shield could hold, but eventually was destroyed, together with its gunmen. After that, the only obstacle was the artillery, but that gunner got killed as well when the clone armor came into range. Chewbacca and Gree could proceed onward to the outpost. This area was, same as the beach, not heavily defended. The clones only had 1 vehicle left that was operational, but managed to get through the gate with a small number of casualties. The single Wookie turret was destroyed by a bomb planted by one of the clones.
Check your weapons. We've got incoming.
The soldiers headed over the hill, running for cover as they were fired upon by the Imperial's inner defense. The stormtroopers at the edge were wiped out as the clones spread through the camp. One of the remaining Wookiees was killed by the heavy weapons of the Imperial units. They lacked proper cover, but hoped constant firing could have them hold out long enough. It did not. Even though quite a few troops were lost due to the stormtroopers, the clones and rebels fired back just as hard and constant, eventually breaking the spirits and bodies of the ones remaining.
Next one! Suppressing fire!
As the armor rolled in as well, there was no denying that the Imperials stood no chance.
Five on first, never runs.
They scattered in an attempt to flee, only to be shot down in the progress.
Got clankers.
Things seemed clear and the remaining infantry and armor went into the camp to look for the prisoners. But then something happened that the clones and rebels did not foresee. From the fog, a large group of TIE fighters appeared, followed by 2 TIE Punishers, each piloted by one of Juno's personnel.
Enemy attacking target. We've got droids.
The fighters killed a handful of troops, but as the clones' backs were turned to fire at the ships heading over, the 2 advanced bombers delivered the killing blow. The armor was destroyed, and they suffered heavy losses. From the center appeared a group of Imperial elite units rushing in to capture any remaining rebels and clones. 2 ATSTs were also approaching from the side. Gree managed to escape with a few clones before the Imperials arrived. The rest, including Chewbacca, were captured. The plan to free the Kashyyyk prisoners ironically ended up in Chewbacca himself becoming a prisoner. Because Chewbacca was being considered a high-value target, he was transported and detained at a heavy facility deeper into the jungle.